Here's the uncomfortable truth. 2026 will look exactly like 2025 if you don't change how you set your goals. Not what you want, but how you approach behavior change. You haven't messed up, you've just been going about it the wrong way. Research shows that 23% of people quit their New Year's resolutions by mid-January, and then even more than that quit, pretty much all of them, by mid-February. And that's not because they lack discipline or are lazy, it's because they rely on motivation, which is such a poor long-term strategy. So how do we stop ourselves from being just another January statistic? The good news is, even though the year has already started, it's not too late. In fact, it might even be the best time to set goals because all of that New Year's hype is out the way and we can actually focus on setting actionable, realistic, and honest goals with ourselves. In this video, I want to walk you through a framework that I've been using for the past few years that actually works. A framework built around systems, habits, environment change, and real behavior that actually sticks, not just hype or willpower. This is the exact framework that helped me stop setting lofty but vague goals, helped me actually build real consistency, and allow me to quit my 9-to-5 to continue pursuing what I would call a dream life. Just a quick disclaimer, this goes without saying, I do recommend following the framework through its entirety, but obviously take what sticks and disregard what doesn't. If something doesn't apply to you, then just know that this isn't prescriptive, it's supposed to serve as a compass. So have your notepad at the ready. I'm going to be using my Remarkable. Feel free to pause the video at each point and work through as you watch. Use the timestamps to skip ahead if you need, but I highly recommend going through it all in chronological order. Before we even talk about goals, we need to talk about behavior because behavior change is hard. Trust me, I know. Motivation and willpower feel powerful, but they are fleeting. And discipline sounds impressive, but it's finite. It also has you living in a constant tension if that's all you rely on. And I know you felt it. Motivation is so useful, but only to get you into motion, and you need to strike while the iron is hot. Motivation can come from past trauma, a chip on your shoulder, a crippling insecurity, or even hitting rock bottom. You can hate where you are so much that you do anything to escape, and that's good, that's perfect. Use that for fuel, but just know that fuel can only get you so far. Yes, when you hit rock bottom, the only way that you can go is up. But if you only ever rely on rock bottom to get you into motion, you're gonna have to keep hitting it over and over again so you can start moving again. But you can't operate out of discontent forever. You have to find another fuel source, another way. Think of it like a rocket ship. At the beginning, to escape gravity, you need lots and lots of fuel that's going to be burning off. That fuel is your motivation. It's your ambition for the future. It's your hatred for where you are now. And it's your need to prove everyone wrong. It is super powerful, but it burns so quick. And if that's your only fuel source, you're going to have to keep crashing or coming back down just to be able to take off again. And if that's you, that's probably why you give in to certain behaviors that make you feel like your back is up against the wall, because that's the only way you've known or learned how to operate or get things done. What actually sustains progress is something far less exciting. It's something boring, stable, and safe. It is systems. It's your environment and the habits that you set in place to help support you on your journey. As James Clear says, the people with the most discipline use it the least. They just set up their environments in a way that helps them not have to rely on discipline. It reminds me of this quote that I read. A man who relies on motivation has a long way to go on his journey. A man who relies on discipline is halfway there. A man who sets up his habits so that he depends on neither has arrived. You don't need motivation or discipline to tie your shoelaces every morning when they become undone. So imagine setting up your whole life in a way that allows your good behaviors, the behaviors that you really want to embody, to just happen as automatically as tying your shoelaces, as effortlessly as tying your shoelaces. And that's exactly what building great habits and systems will allow you to do. Through this framework, you can leverage those good behaviors so that our dream life is only a handful of good decisions every single day away. So let's actually get into the framework. It has 4 phases. First phase is reviewing the past. So we want to really start by reviewing the past. Phase number 2 is assessing the present. Phase number 3 is defining the future. And phase number 4 is build in systems that support it. Because if you don't know where you've been, you won't understand how you got to where you are. And if you don't know where you are and where you're going, any road will take you there. I always personally start by looking backwards. So step 1 is to plot your moments and your milestones throughout the year. Before I set a single goal, I create a timeline of the past. So I use my calendar, my photos app, my social media to just help me go back through the year and just list down all of my highlights. This includes things like your trips, your failures, any sort of risks you've taken, any relationships that started or ended, habits that you built or dropped, and any moments that changed how you see yourself. This step isn't about judging yourself, it's about pattern recognition. because patterns will repeat whether you're conscious of them or not. So we're trying to bring the unconscious conscious. And most people will skip this step entirely, and that's probably why you're going to continue to live the same year on loop. And that takes us nicely onto step 2, reflect and examine. This is where the real work begins, and it requires honesty, brutal honesty. So I break them down into 4 different areas, and one is success and growth. The second is failures and learns. The third is your relationships. And the fourth is your themes and your takeaways. So for success and growth, we ask ourselves a few questions, things like what actually worked this year and why? We want to ask things like, what did you achieve that you are genuinely proud of? What decisions did you make that paid off? Second, we're going to go into our failures and our learns. And you want to ask again, what didn't work? What decisions did you make that didn't lead you to the outcome you thought it would? And what did you take away from that? What habits held you back? And where do you feel like you wasted your time or your energy? This isn't about beating yourself up. Like I said, it's about extracting the lessons. Third one, and this one is really important, is you really want to ask who elevated you this year? Who has had the biggest impact on your life? Whether that be someone you decided to follow on social media or someone that you know on a personal level. You want to really mark down here what relationships elevated you. And on the counter of that, you also want to find out what relationships drained you. Where did you spend too much time, or who did you feel not your most energetic and powerful self around? And then with that, just find out what relationships matter to you the most, both professionally and personally, and which ones do you want to invest more time into next year. And lastly, the themes and the takeaways. The one thing I'd ask yourself in this section is, if you had to describe your year in 5 to 7 words, what would those words be? What would that sentence look like? When you do this properly, it starts to create clarity. Not motivation, but clarity. Now that we've had a look at the past, it's time to look at the present. So this section here is going to be assessing your life where it is right now. Not where you want to be and not where you were, but where you feel like you are today. Because it's very hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you are. Think of it like a GPS. You can't just have a destination without it knowing where you currently are, because then it won't be able to plot a route to get you there. It needs both the destination and the current location, so then it can figure out a little map. In this section, I like to pick a few different areas of my life, and I like to score them on a satisfaction scale from how satisfied I am with them from 0 all the way up to 10. And the goal isn't to score a perfect 10 across the board. It's just to find out where I've dedicated too much energy into and where I feel like I haven't dedicated enough, or what I've been neglecting. And once you've plotted that all out, then the next part is super crucial. You only pick 1 or 2 of those areas to focus all your energy and time on. We need to get laser focused on these goals. Focus creates momentum, and when we set up too much or we try and take on too much, it creates paralysis. Remember, general ambition gives you anxiety, specific ambition gives you direction. Now we're into step 4, and this is the most exciting part. It's about planning the future. I always start this section with one simple question, and that is, what would this year look like if it was the best year of my life? And this is where I try and dream big, and I'm gonna need you to dream big too. Best case scenario and worst case scenario are equally as delusional, so let's just get in the mindset of the one that's gonna support us most. Once that excitement is there, I try and bring it down into some sort of structure, and these are the categories that I structure my life into: career, financial, relationships, health, personal development, spiritual, character, experiential, and material. And yes, material is an important one to have in there. Let's work through these one by one, where I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you can pause me at any point just to answer these questions in each of these categories. And hopefully it will help you gain clarity in your life. So I have the questions written down, so I'm just going to read them off and ask them to you, but we'll start one by one. So in career, I want you to answer the section in the most detail that you possibly can. What does your career look like? Is there a specific company that you dream of working for? Is there a specific role that you want to do? What skills does that role require? What skills do you currently have? What do you need to develop in terms of skills to bridge the gap? What kind of hours do you want to be working? Do you even want to work for someone else, or would you rather be self-employed? Do you want to start a side hustle? What does that look like? What skills do you need to develop for that? Once you know exactly what it is that you want for your career, you need to set yourself actionable goals, and you need to figure out how and when. The key is actionable, tangible next steps. We'll then move on to financial. You don't need to be good at maths for this section, but I do need you to know exactly to the penny the figures that we're going to be talking about here. How much money do you want saved in your bank account this year? How much is your projected expenditure and bills this year? How much money do you need to make to ensure you can cover both your expenses and still save the amount of money that you want to save? The key is, don't just say you want to make more money. Write down exactly how much more you want to make. Because if I give you £1 today, you've made more money than last year. Is that your goal fulfilled? No. So be specific. After you have those figures, the next thing you need to do is create or attach some emotion. Why do you want that amount saved? Why do you want that number in your bank account? And again, once you know exactly how much and why, you need to put down a deadline. When do you want to achieve this by? Is it by the end of the year? Do you have separate savings goals throughout the year? Do you have a target that you want to hit by Q1, Q2, Q3, and 4? Do you think you're going to save money exponentially, or do you think you're going to incrementally save money? The next set of questions I want to ask you are, how will you save that money? Do you need to get a promotion, a different job? Do you need to start a side hustle? Do you need to lower your expenditure? Do you need to set up a standing order? Do you need to invest? Once you have all these answers to the penny, only then can you move into the next step. Next, we have relationships. Let's start with family, and we'll move on to the others. What do you want your family relationships to be like? How do you want to treat those around you? Do you want to be more forgiving? Do you want to spend more time with your family? What does that look like? Does that mean maybe doing a monthly outing or a fortnightly dinner or dinner every night at a table? Does it mean extending your gratitude, random acts of kindness within the household? What does it look like? Write it all down. I then ask you to extend those questions to your professional life and your personal relationships. So what does it look like to show up as a better friend, a better husband, a better daughter, a better colleague, a better co-worker, a better boss, or a better employee? You can then ask the same questions regarding your significant other. Are you currently in a relationship? Do you want to be in a relationship? If so, how can you make that happen? When you are in a relationship, how can you show up as a better partner? What do you need from your partner this year to ensure that you are as fulfilled as possible in the relationship? Really take your time to sit down and answer these questions and figure out exactly what it is that you want from interpersonal relationships. This one is a bit harder because it involves setting up boundaries and ensuring that you are the kind of person you want to be, but also surrounding yourself with the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with, that are the ones that are going to give you energy and value and love in return. The next one is health, and this one will essentially dictate how well you can achieve the rest of your goals. Your health is your #1 priority. Remember, everyone has a laundry list of problems until they have a health problem, and then they only have one to recover. So in this section, I want you to ask yourself, how many hours do you need to sleep at night? How will you ensure you get that amount of sleep? Do you have a nighttime routine? Do you need one? Do you have a morning routine? Do you need one? What do they look like? What time would you like to wake up? What time would you like to go to sleep? Does it change from weekends to weekdays? In this section, you can also write, if you go to the gym, do you have any gym related goals? Do you have any running related goals? And I don't know what your fitness goals are, but I need you to know what they are to the number. So how much do you want to weigh? What bench do you want to bench? How quick do you want your marathon time to be? How quick do you want your high rocks time to be? What do you want to look like? What do you want to feel like? What dietary changes do you need to make to fuel your vitality or to nourish you? Answer these in as much detail as you can. Next one, and this is one of my favorite sections, but only because I've done this so many times, and hopefully this isn't where I lose some of you, but it's materialistic. Don't be shy with this section, or even humble. Material things are nice, and there's no denying it. And they also say it is far easier to actually achieve your material dreams than it is to renounce them. So might as well go after them. So don't feel bad for owning or wanting material things, as long as it's within your means. You are simply pumping money back into the economy and essentially just keeping people employed. When you realize how money truly works, you won't feel as bad for purchasing specific items. So in this section, I want you to write down, what do you want to own? Is it a dream car, a dream house? Do you want a scooter, a PlayStation, some jewelry, some new clothes? Literally anything that your heart desires, write it down and the value of those things. And then if you could, just head all the way up, back up to the financial or career section and then adjust the numbers accordingly. Next session I like to go into is personal development. And here is all about you. What courses do you want to do this year? Do you want to read any books? Do you want to learn a new language? 2, 3, 5? Do you have a driver's license? Do you want a pilot's license? Any skills that you wish to learn or master? Do you want to play an instrument? Write them down in this section. I then move over to spiritual. And again, I don't want to lose some of you in this section, but I personally believe in God. Don't know what you believe in, whether it's God or the universe, but there is still some value here. What spiritual goals would you like to achieve this year? What things do you want to do to draw closer to God if you believe in one? If you just want to be more in touch with the universe and yourself, what would that look like? Is it a matter of daily meditation? Is it prayer? Is it journaling? Is it practicing gratitude? How many times a day? Write all of this down. The next one I go into is character. This one is a little similar to personal development, but there are some nuances that make it require or warrant its own section. When you're not in the room, what do you want to be described as? How do you want people to view you? Do you want to be known as funny, charismatic, charming, kind? What character traits do you want to embody? And remember, when it comes to character traits, they're not fixed. You have to act on those traits every single day with the behaviors that lead to them to be able to instill them. Does that make sense? You cannot be known as confident if you never do confident things. You cannot be known as patient if you don't do patient things. Patience requires actually displaying patience, not just feeling it. You cannot be known as hardworking if you don't work hard. So figure out what actions you need to do to reflect the traits that you wish to reflect, and then act on those every single day. You're only as confident as the last confident thing that you did. The traits need to be acted on every single time that the circumstances calls upon them. And if that sounds a bit much, good. You are stepping into a new identity. It's supposed to be a little bit uncomfortable. Next one we go into is experiential. And this is the last category, but it's also one of my favorites. What kind of things do you want to experience this year? Be as open-minded as possible. And just remember, we're going to have to go right back up again and adjust the finance section accordingly. But do you want to travel this year? How long do you want to travel? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to travel with? Do you want to skydive? Is there any new restaurants that you've been meaning to try? Any new food or cuisines that you've been meaning to try? Do you want to go to a sushi making class? Do you want to go to a pottery class? Literally anything that you want to experience this year, write it down in this section. Once you've written all of that down, again, you want to find out when you want to do all of this. So map that into your calendar. I need you to get very specific on every single element. Give every single one of them a deadline or a time frame. The clarity that you're going to have now is removing the anxiety that you might feel later. Vague goals create stress, specific goals create action. When it feels overwhelming, which it often might, I try and ask myself this one question. What would this look like if it was easy? This question forces your mind to search for solutions instead of problems. It searches for how can I make this happen rather than, wow, this seems a bit daunting. And when you're solutions focused, your brain will give you answers. As Tony Robbins says, if you ask better questions, you will get better answers. So now you know very specifically what actions you need to do to get you closer to your goals. And if you do those actions every single day, they will inevitably become habits. But now we need to tie it all together. And this is where systems come into play. Your systems are comprised of three things: your environment, your habits, and your tools. We've already focused on these two, so now we're going to focus on this one here. Goals give you directions, and systems will create those results. Like James Clear says in his book, everyone that's lining up at the 100-meter start line has the same goal: finishing first and getting that gold. What separates them is the systems that they've put in place before that race. You can have the clearest goals in the world, but if your environment is stacked against you, you will lose. So we've gone through motivation, we've gone through discipline, and now we've set our goals and our environment up so that we know what behaviors we need to do daily to create the habits we wish to instill and the routine that will help us get there. The final piece of the puzzle is utilizing the right tools. Look at it this way. If your goal is to cut down a tree and you've done everything in your power, you've set up the environment so that the tree is super close to you, you've mustered willpower and motivation to get to that tree every single day, you're chopping down at that tree with actionable actions every single day, but you're using a razor, and despite a razor being sharp, it's still not the right tool for the job. An axe or a chainsaw might have been a better option. So before you get started on any of your goals, it might be worth investing a little bit of time to figure out what tools you need to best perform the job at hand for the goals that you've set yourself. And if you don't know what tools you need, then look into someone that's done it before, someone that has the life that you want. Then ask them, can they coach you? Do they have a book available? Can you follow them on social media? What did they do to get to where they are, and what tools did they use? We then need to create early wins and find a way to evaluate our progress. So how do we do that? Does that look like daily check-ins, weekly, monthly, quarterly? The more often that you can take stock of your actions, the better. I personally have a small daily check-in, and then I do a weekly check-in, and then beyond that, I will do a monthly and quarterly check-in too, a bit more extensive. So my quarterly and monthly will look very similar to what I've done today. And then to create that early win, ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do right now that will move me one step closer to my goals? Not right now, just finish the video so I can get my watch time. But after you finish this video, close your laptop and do that one thing that you can do right now to move you one step closer to your goal. The last analogy I'm going to give you is this. When you are driving in a car and you are following a sat-nav, if you can't see the destination, which 90% of the time you won't be able to see the destination, you trust that the sat-nav is showing you the way. If you're on a foggy day or if it's super dark and you can only see a few hundred meters in front of you, you're still going to trust that whatever the sat-nav says is going to take you to where you want to go. And it's the same when we're reading a map. We trust that the people that have gone there before us have plotted this route, and if we follow that exact route, we are going to end up where they are. And that's exactly what happens when you set goals. You trust that the goals you have now set and the actionable steps that you have put in place today are going to get you to where you want to go. the only thing left for you to do is actually go out and do that. Don't let yourself get derailed because you can't see your destination. Trust that the steps that you've put in place today will get you to where you want to go. So that's it. You are now equipped with everything that you need to go ahead and make 2026 the best year of your life. And if you want the exact template that I've used today, it is linked down below with all the questions that I've asked. But if you can, leave a comment in the comment section below. Just write down your biggest goal for the year. Let's create a group of winners, and then eventually we'll come back to this at the end of 2026 and all hold each other accountable in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, then do subscribe and share it with a friend that you also want to see thrive in 2026. Thank you so much for watching.